For 4 years, people poured into New Brunswick faster than at any point throughout our history. And that wave is quickly cooling. So is Saint John real estate in trouble? The job numbers and charts that I'm about to show you tell a much different story. How's it going, everybody? Brandon Vincent here with eXp Realty. I've been actively selling real estate here in Saint John, New Brunswick for over 7 years with over 140 deals done during that time. My goal on this channel is to bring you relevant real estate information in an entertaining way. If you do like the sound of that, do me a favor, hit the like, subscribe button. If you have any questions or comments about what you're seeing here today, leave a comment at any point throughout this video. But without further ado, let's dive into this month's market update. Part 1, the biggest population surge in New Brunswick's history. So starting off with the total migration of New Brunswick, and we're going to look at this chart here. So this chart goes back to 1972. And for about 50 years, our net migration just bounced around, zero. Some years where it was up a little bit, and the following years down slightly, but it was really just ebbing and flowing right around the zero mark. Then around 2016, it starts climbing. And actually from 2021 to 2024, it absolutely explodes, peaking near 9,500 people in a single quarter coming to New Brunswick. And I just want you to keep in mind that this includes interprovincial migration and international immigration. Nothing in our historical records even comes close to this. That wave, all those new people arriving at once, is a big part of what drove our housing demand and drove our housing costs and housing prices up over the last few years. So understanding this chart here is critical to understanding the state of our housing market here in New Brunswick. And now watch what happens now that the migration has slowed down. Part 2, where the boom is fading. So most of that boom that we're talking about in part 1 actually came from the international immigration. This is a very similar shaped chart to what I just showed you before, and it was just flat for decades. Then a massive spike that peaks around 2023 with 8,500 people roughly. But let's look at the right-hand side of this chart, and we're seeing it falling very fast. In fact, the last report is one of the lowest reporting amounts of immigration since about 2020 when the pandemic first popped off. And that is nothing more than the federal government pulling back its immigration targets. So the tap that filled our metaphorical tub is now being slowed right down, pretty well turned off. And that's where a lot of this fear is coming from. So yes, the boom, in fact, is cooling. That part is true. But here's what the headlines aren't telling us. Part number 3, the durable driver. So now pulling up this net interprovincial migration chart for here in New Brunswick. And this goes over the last 5 quarters. And this shows people coming and going from each province. So this shows where New Brunswickers are moving to and where people are moving from here to New Brunswick. And looking at this right away, you see a few things that stand right out. First of all is where we're getting the majority of people coming from, and that is Ontario. So if you look here, you can see that Ontario has been single-handedly the biggest driver of people moving to New Brunswick from any province over the last 5 quarters. And what we also see is the 3 provinces that New Brunswickers are moving to the most frequently, and that is Alberta, Quebec, and Nova Scotia. So what's important to know is even over the last 5 quarters, people are still moving from Ontario to New Brunswick because they're seeing value here. They're still selling high in Ontario and moving here for a fraction of the price. And what's also good to know about this is that the federal government's policy for immigration has no effect on people moving interprovincially. So as long as homes stay about 1/3 of what it costs in the GTA, then I think this pipeline is going to stay open. So the wave is cooling, but the most durable stream of people moving to New Brunswick, Ontarians chasing value, is still flowing directly to us. The other argument that I hear quite often is that there is not enough work for the people coming to New Brunswick. Sure, there's all these people coming here, but where are they working? How are they buying homes? That's something I hear so often. And that brings us to part number 4, our job market. So if migration is cooling, you would expect the local economy to soften as well, but that's not what's happening. So this is Saint John's employment rate. It hit about 12% during the pandemic. It dropped down, shot back up to about 8%, and now look where it is. We're sitting right around 5.4%. To put that in context, New Brunswick's unemployment rate is 7.3%, and Canada's unemployment rate is at 6.5%. So that puts Saint John at a better employment rate than both New Brunswick and Canada. So our job market is currently looking better than the province and looking better than the countries. So the fact that we have a cooling population, but an improving job market at the same time is extremely unusual, but it's very good for the housing market. Now, we're definitely going to be keeping our eye on this because May, April, and March both were a little lackluster. And now February was a good month for the monthly full-time job growth. However, we're going to keep an eye on this chart, okay? So when migration is slowing, but our full-time job growth is happening, that's a very good sign for the economy. So the last chart that I want to look at before we review the numbers for Saint John is this chart here, the single detached sales by price range, because this is fascinating. So this chart goes back to 2009, and it shows us the amount of homes sold during Q2 only by the specific price ranges. And we can see a massive shift that's happened since 2020. It is so cool to look at. So let's start off just by looking at the top here. So this green bar here, this was homes between 100 and 200,000. So right up until 2020, we've seen them being the majority of the sales between 100 and 200,000. That was where the most purchases were happening. But look what's happened. That's completely dropped. That price range isn't the same anymore. So home selling in the $100,000 to $200,000 range very quickly dropped off within a matter of about 5 years and is now one of the least amounts of homes selling in that price range. While homes over 400,000 was some of the least seen selling right up until 2020. And now it is one of the most common price ranges for homes sold here in 2026. That's followed by the $300,000 to $400,000 range, which prior to 2020 was also one of the lowest amounts of homes sold. Now it's the second highest. I would just pause here and just analyze this chart, and you can see how things have flipped and what's taken what spot. It is just some fascinating, seeing $300,000 to $400,000 now is taking the place of the $200,000 to $300,000 homes. It's right here on the chart. And the $100,000 home range, which was kind of like mid-range, there was quite a bit of that happening right up until 2020. Now you can't really buy anything that's remotely livable for under $100,000. You really can't. So to wrap this video up, we're going to summarize the June 2026 Saint John real estate market stats so that you have the latest data and can understand what it means, starting off with the sales activity for 212 sales happening. And then we have the dollar volume of $77,943,460 during the month of June, which was actually down 12% from 2025, but that's up 10% from 2024. And our new listings are at 360 listings right now, which is actually up 5.9% from last year. Our active listings is at 724, which I believe is the highest it's been in a very long time. So we do have a lot of listings currently on the market, which is why it's so important how we are pricing in this market. Sales to list ratio is about 58.9%, meaning that the sales, so over half of the homes are selling. The sales to new listing ratio is 58.9%, with the months of inventory having us in a seller's market at 3.4 months of inventory. And the median days on market is 21, which I believe is some of the fastest in the province as well. Our average home price is $367,658, which is down 6.5%, but it's better to look at the benchmark price, or even the median as well, 356,250. And our sale to list price ratio is 104.2%, meaning that homes on average are selling for 4.2% over the asking price. So what's important to note is that Saint John is still in a competitive market for certain properties that are priced right. And for those properties, we are seeing them go into multiple offers with the listing strategies that listing agent is using. So it all depends on the price. It depends on, are they doing open houses, on the marketing, on the photos, on the videos, on the timing of the listing, all of this on the state of the house, how it's prepared, staged. All of that plays into how fast homes are selling and how they are selling it with what kind of demand too, right? So this is just good to know with everything going on in our current market. If you have any questions and would like to know more, if you're thinking of selling your house, if you're looking at buying some, do me a favor, shoot me a message, leave my phone number down below in the details. As always, thank you so much for sticking to the very end. If you enjoyed this video, follow along, like, subscribe, and leave me a comment down below. Let me know what your favorite part was. Thank you. Have a great day.